Farm Sim Talk with BDD. Let's roll.
Out here in the country, where the roads run wide, there's a world behind the pixels that we're bringing to the light. From maps to mods, to the rigs we drive, we're talking to the folks who keep this farm life alive. It's Farm Sim Talk with BDD. Come pull up a chair and ride along with me. Stories from the makers, the builders of the scene. Farm Sim Talk, where we live the farming dream. He's got questions rolling like a big John Deere, digging deep with modders so their voices we can hear. From giants of the code to the artists painting skies, he's shining up their stories like a brand new combine. It's Farm Sim Talk with BDD. Come pull up a chair and ride along with me. Stories from the makers, the builders of the scene. Farm Sim Talk, where we live the farming dream. From tractors to textures, from silos to sounds, there's a whole crew of heroes making this world go round. So tune in and find out who's behind the screen. Farm Sim Talk's the place to see what farming really means. It's Farm Sim Talk with BDD. Come pull up a chair and ride along with me. Stories from the makers, the builders of the scene. Farm Sim Talk, where we live the farming dream.
How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the channel. This is Big Day Dave, and this is Farm Sim Talk, a show where we get to talk to other creators here within the Farm Sim community, and we get to find out a little bit more about them. And I am joined here by one half of the dynamic duo, Chris S. Chris, how are you doing tonight?
I'm good. How are you tonight?
I'm fantastic. Thank you so much for asking. So before we get into the interview, do you want to tell us where we can find you?
Sure. So you can find me on our YouTube channel. I believe is linked on the screen there, and we also have a Discord channel. So feel free if you ever got any questions or any issues with any of our stuff, feel free to jump into either one of those, and we'll hopefully get you helped out.
Excellent. Do you have any shout outs that you want to give before we get going?
Oh man, I could go on and on for hours on this just because, and we'll talk more about how we kind of got started on this. But there's a lot of people in this community that really kind of got me going, and I know the first one was David at 82 Studios, had a whole pile of tutorials that I watched countless hours of his live streams, just watching him mod and do all his things. So if anybody else has ever even thought about modding, I point everybody into his direction. I'm like, you gotta watch his stuff. He's amazing. I mean, everybody. I know I'm not speaking for myself here when that everybody says he has some awesome mods, and I know he's taking a little break here for some of his personal reasons. But even still, he's an awesome guy. I've talked him off screen a few times. Super cool. I've learned so much from him. So I got to shout out David at 82 Studios. DJ Goham, I know I've talked to him countless times. Tony Miff, I've talked to him countless times. He's tested a lot of my stuff too. So there's again, I could go on and on and on. Veteran modding or Death Pledge, however you want to call it. He's going back and forth on different namings there. ADub modding's been awesome. JTurk modding's been awesome. I know I'm forgetting some. There's Biggins. He's another modder that I talk a lot to with. Looney Farm guy. Keith Snowman Bleeker just had his Deutz that came out. You got to check that thing out. It's a sweet mod as well. I've talked to him countless times about kind of getting my stuff squared away here. Again, I could go on for hours and hours. Schultz modding, Trucker Matsy. There's tons of really cool people out in this community. Hey, look at that, Tony Miff in the comments already. Speak of the devil. So,
You speak of him and he
oh.
appears.
Oh yeah, Tony's awesome. He helped me a lot with testing a lot of my stuff. He always really gets me a lot of good feedback. So he's awesome. So again, Poor Boy Modding. I know he's also been kind of MIA for 25, but still great guy, great mods in the past. So a lot of those guys are fantastic. So I wouldn't be here without a lot of them here helping me out. So huge shout out to all those guys.
Excellent, excellent. And do you want to give us just a kind of a brief introduction of who you are within the community? So for anybody out there who's not familiar with you, may get a little bit of introduction.
So I am Chris S from Chris S and Riley S Modding. My son and I are the ones that have created the Colossus pack. Is pretty much the most popular mod I guess we have. I stumble around the FS community, a lot of the YouTube channels, all trying to jump in and have some fun with some people. But the most common one we're known for is definitely going to be the Colossus pack that we kind of created. So there's that. I mean, we have other ones as far as like John Deere, our Fent Vario pack, our Kinsey multi-flute planter. I had a few productions in 22. Most of our modding started in FS 22. So, and then next thing that came up is now we're here in 25, and we'll for the foreseeable future, I guess. So
Excellent, excellent. So before we get going, just want to give a few shout outs to people that are out there. I see. I saw Farmer Groot. We had Dean Powell, Reaver Time Todd, Ken Adams, Streamcatcher. We also had Tony Miff, Nacho Cast, Brady Rimmer Productions, and I think that is everyone who's commented up until this point. Thank you all so much for stopping by and catching this interview. So let's go ahead and get started with our first segment here called Digging Up Dirt. This is the one where we get to know who you are beyond the whole farm sim community, the more personal side of things. So first question I have for you is, do you have a job outside of creating mods for the community?
yep. So I have a full-time job outside of this. So it's modding isn't just my full-time job. I have a real big boy job, I should say, per se, that takes up a huge chunk of my time. So which is why unfortunately I know a lot of our stuff is slowed down, but yep, got real world job. I try and get some modding in when I can, but it's hard.
It's yeah, it's one of those that I don't know if you kind of feel the same way, but if you could substitute the real job with being able to create mods all the time, is that something that would kind of interest you, kind of thing?
Oh man, if I could like have the same income that I do it for my big job for the modding job, oh, I'd do it in a heartbeat because I mean it's a blast. I love making some of this stuff, but well, let me rephrase that. It's a blast when the stuff works out because there's definitely times to where I've had a lot of frustrations and you're just like screaming at the computer of why aren't you working? But no, definitely. I think if I could, it'd be a blast, but I know that's definitely not a reality. So
Oh, for sure, for sure. But so tell us, what are some of your hobbies outside of Farm Sim? Do you like to do hiking, fishing, watch sports?
oh, absolutely. Oh, the list could go on forever. I know we were kind of talking off screen here. I do a lot of hunting. So because fall's coming up here, I do a lot of deer hunting. Waterfowl hunting is probably my biggest passion that I do. It's do sports. I mean, yeah, we love our football, love our baseball. I'm from Wisconsin, and our Brewers are doing awesome, so that makes me even more happy. So that's all going great. Um, yeah, pretty much try and get outdoors as much as we can. That's the other reason why our modding time is definitely dropped down a good chunk. Because again, we're outside a whole lot, so enjoying all the wonderful weather here. But I think that's a lot of the interest that we got. It's typical redneck stuff.
Hey, you know what? It's one of those that you got to enjoy the weather while you got it. So gotta get
Absolutely.
out there and enjoy it. So
Yep.
you mentioned hunting and you go deer hunting. How long have you been doing how long have you been doing that? Words are hard.
Words hard, math's hard, all the above. So deer hunting, oh my gosh, probably since whenever I passed hunter safety, I think at the time is like 12 years old, 13 years old. I was out with my old man out in the deer stand every basically Thanksgiving season is when our rifle season up here in Wisconsin. And when I was old enough I did a little bit of bow hunting when I was a little bit younger, and then I've kind of fallen off that just because I didn't have the time for it and had the land. I just don't have the time, and that's why I pretty much go back to the waterfall. I think at this point, so we definitely still do a lot of rifle season hunting. I've gone out every single year. So for opening day, and me, myself and my wife, we both do a lot of avid hunting.
Oh, so you got the missus involved in it as well. That's awesome. I tell you what, if I could
Absolutely.
talk my missus into it, I'd do it in a heartbeat.
It's funny because we're kind of do the only problem is when our kids were so young, we had to basically like flip a coin. I'm like, all right, honey, well, it's your turn to go hunting. I just had them last time, so it's awesome, but it's also like, oh, well, now I kind of got to share my time. So, but she's really good shot too, so I kind of got to be careful myself. But no,
Hmm.
she's awesome. I got super lucky with her. So
Oh, I tell you what, my wife, she's a real good shot too, and I don't know what it is, but she we introduced her to the worlds of guns and stuff like that, and we gave her like the crash course of, hey, this is the safety that you got to go through. You got to make sure you never point it at anything you're not willing to destroy, the whole nine yards,
yeah, yep.
every little thing. And we took her to the range one time, and she's like, "Oh, we're gonna be doing this again a lot." I'm like, oh
Yep,
yeah, see, this is why I
perfect.
love you.
Yep, the answer is yes, right?
The answer is yes. So what about fishing? Are you into fishing at all?
I am. It's funny. I'm not terribly far from the Mississippi River, and I always feel again. I love fishing. And it's the time aspect that we have that always seems to be dragging down a little bit in there. But oh my gosh, yeah, we I love fishing. It doesn't even matter if it's pan fishing, bass fishing. The only thing I'm not a huge fan of is ice fishing. I'm not a fan of the cold, so that's why like all my modding time is taken in the winter time because I'm in Wisconsin and I hate the cold. I know, kind of one of those double edged swords, but.
Well, it's one of those. I know that when I lived in Michigan, we would always go ice fishing, my father and I. And he, at one point, he bought this little pop-up tent. It was like the wildest thing. It had a basically a plywood platform underneath. It had
Yep.
removable like boards underneath, and then the
Nice.
whole thing would just pop up, and you could run a little space heater in there. So it was absolutely perfect.
Sweet.
But and you mentioned that you were into baseball and football. Who's your football team? Is it also up there in Wisconsin?
Yeah, so it's funny, I like the Packers because my wife told me I have to like the Packers before she would marry me, but I'm actually a New Orleans New Orleans Saints fan is the kind of the as weird as it is, I know I'm way up north, but I was a huge Drew Brees fan when I was younger, and, I was a fan of the Saints when they were still the Aints, so I wasn't one of those, like, bandwagon jumpers on there, so, but it's definitely New Orleans and Green Bay, top 2.
Wow, so that is kind of a stretch there, but it's not uncommon. I've heard doing this show, I've gotten to know a lot of people's kind of, hey, I'm from this area, but I love,
Yep.
somebody across the country kind of thing. I've been hearing that a lot here lately. Like here recently, I forget, I'm sorry if because all of these are kind of running together, uh, but it was somebody, I think they were in Pennsylvania or in that area, and they were a San Francisco fan. And it's like,
Yep.
really? Like, how did that one work out? And it's like, oh, I've been a fan since like the Steve Young, Jerry Rice. Like, okay, that
Yep,
when everybody was a
that's
fan of
fair.
San Francisco. I
And,
gotcha, I
you're
gotcha.
You're welcome, Nacho, by the way. How dare you take him from us?
So, do you like to read?
I'm not that much of a reader. I There's a couple books that I've tried to pick up. My wife is the reader. I'll listen to a lot of audiobooks. I know like way back in the day, like when the Harry Potter stuff was coming out. I shouldn't say way back in the day because that's not even that far back. But Um, I would listen to I couldn't read the Harry Potter books, but I loved listening to them. So I would throw them on like a cassette tape at the time, and even now, I can sometimes listen to podcasts and books, but I just the whole reading aspect of it, me and reading don't always get along. So
I'm right there with you. I've got to sit there and force myself into doing it, which is why I do most of my
yep,
reading online.
yep, exactly.
What about movies and TV? Do you enjoy watching that kind of stuff?
Yeah, wintertime, same thing. If we'll try and find some random shows out there. I'm trying to think of the last ones. I mean, we loved the um, oh gosh, why can't I think of House of Dragons. Trying to think that whole cluster through there. Why am I
Oh,
drawing a blank on that?
Game of Thrones?
Game of Thrones. There we go. Yes, yeah. So we really got into that one. That was a really good one that the wife and I really kind of binged watched a lot of. So, a lot of your sci-fi stuff, all great ones. So,
Gotcha. And what did you think of the last, what was it, last season or two of Game of Thrones?
oh, don't get me started. We'll be here for hours.
You know what? That is
It's awful.
exactly the reaction I expected.
Oh, I was so disappointed. I mean, 1 through 7 was so fantastic, and then it's just like, "Oh, what?" I was so upset.
So that was one of those shows where I got into it extremely late, and I ended
Yep,
up getting to about the fourth season, I think. And
yep,
it was one of those where I heard everybody complaining about the last season, and I'm like,
yep.
I can't watch it. I just can't. I can't be. Like I'm hearing everybody and just the sheer disappointment in their voice. It's like I can't be so invested into the show, and then I get to the very end just to be disappointed myself. It's like nope,
Yep,
nope. So I
and,
pulled the ripcord on that one.
nice, good for you, 'cause we got into it a little bit later, but we binged watched, I wanna say, like, season 1 through 6, and, then because then it was, like, right when season 7 was just starting to come out, so we binged watched season 1 through 6. We had some FMLA time out there, and then season 7, we were like, "Oh, this is the greatest show ever." We caught all the way up through there, and we had to wait for season 8, and then, of course, we're watching season 8 because we had even paid for the HBO and everything. It's like, "No, this is our best show. I love this show," and they just totally popped the bubble on me with disappointment. So,
Oh, that's yeah, and you're investing additional money specifically for this, so it's one of
yep,
those. It's like doubly disappointing. Oh
yep.
man, yeah, I would have
Oh,
been
wow.
crushed. Uh,
Yeah, that's one word for it.
so what would be your favorite movie?
I'm a huge Star Wars nerd. And my wife calls me a Star Wars nerd too, but she loves Ewoks, so that's kinda got me into it too. But as far as movies go, Star Wars is probably one of my top ones. I know I'm jumping on a side right now, but I know the Star Trek versus Star Wars thing, but I, definitely love me some Star Wars.
Oh, I'm right there with you. It's yeah, it involved a lot of my life.
Yep.
But so have you ever seen the show How I Met Your Mother?
I have. Yep, I didn't watch the full series through, but I've watched a lot of episodes here and there, so
So you mentioned the Ewoks, and one of my
yep,
favorite lines from that show is the character that is Barney Stinson is played by Neil
yep,
Patrick Harris, and he
mhm,
basically goes into this tangent of how he can know a woman's age. Now, to kind of for anybody who's not seen this show, it's been out for a while, so I'm not worried about spoilers or anything like that. But basically, Barney is a huge womanizer and like Lothario, like he just basically is just only interested in sleeping with women and stuff. And he basically determines, women's age if they're into Star Wars based on their love or hatred of the Ewoks. Because if you love the Ewoks, then you were likely a child when the Ewoks were out, and thus it reminded you of teddy bears, and therefore you could kind of date the rough age of the individual. And then if you were older, you tend not to care for them, therefore you were older beyond this kind of made up time frame or cutoff line that he would go for. So it was one of my favorite explanations of the whole Ewok craze, and you just saying that just kind of reminded me of it.
yep, absolutely.
So what kind of music are you into?
Honestly, a little bit of everything. I think in the car right now we've got I got a little bit of the XM left yet, or the Sirius XM, and I mean I think just anything from rock to a little bit of the country stuff. Not a huge whole lot of the rap stuff, but wide variety of things.
Gotcha, gotcha. So going back to the movies and TV shows, what would you consider to be one of the oddest or weirdest movies, TV shows that you've seen to date?
Oh gosh, good question. I know I've seen some weird ones out there that yeah, the wife's always like, "Hey, yeah, we should watch this one." And of course, when you're married, you say, "Oh yes, of course, honey, I'd love to watch that with you." And halfway through, even when she says, "Okay, this is garbage, we should probably change it," and I'm also thinking, "Thank goodness, I'm glad we're on the same page." So, exact names I'm totally drawing a blank on, but yeah, I know there's definitely been way more than I'm willing to admit that I've seen that are god awful, but yeah.
So one of the big ones I throw out there is for this particular question, and especially for those people who say that they're into Star Wars, is have you ever heard of the Star Wars Holiday Special?
No, I guess I haven't.
So it
Is
was
it that
a
Lego one or
no, no, this was right after episode 4 came out. So
okay.
George Lucas and all the original cast made a made for TV holiday special. And when I tell you it is absolute hot garbage, like complete dumpster fire of a movie. I was explaining actually yesterday in the Farm Sim Talk with Argsy Gaming that there's literally a 10 to 15 minute scene where Chewbacca is, off doing Chewbacca things with Han Solo, and he calls his wife and child back on their home world and just speaking Wookiee the whole time, and you have no idea what they're saying. There's no subtitles or anything like that. And it's just sitting there, just like growling at each other the whole time. It's just absolutely ridiculous, and it has all the original cast, all the people. It even has B. Arthur from the Golden Girls in there, and
Oh, that's
it's a
awesome.
train wreck. So if you ever get a chance and you want to just kill an hour and a half, if I remember correctly, and just be like, wow, they actually made something like this, I'm pretty sure you can find it on YouTube and just kind of, go at it. But like I said, be prepared. It's one of those that you will be lesser for it, but more at the same time.
Noted. I will know what not to watch. Perfect. Thanks for that. Appreciate it.
You are very welcome.
Thanks for saving me a good chunk of my time here.
Well, it sounds like your time's precious, so if
Yeah,
I can save it, then there you go. So
perfect. Works good for me.
so let me ask you this. What would you do if for some reason you were no longer able to create mods? Let's say your computer blew up and you had no means to be able to replace it. What would you do after that?
Go go outside and touch grass.
That's the right answer.
Yeah. Same thing I'm telling my kids all the time too. I'm like, okay, it's nice outside. Just go outside. Well, we want TV. Nope, nope. There's the TV's fine. Oh, go. Oh man, you unplug it, and it's like, oh darn, the TV's broken. Go touch grass. You're fine.
No, that's
You
it
will survive. I
exactly.
promise.
That's it. Just get outside. The TV will be here when you get back.
Yep. The TV is for the winter time when it's cold and crappy out. So
Hmm. So, has it been a dream of yours to go out and create mods for like not just for the farm sim community, but just in general? Is this something that you just kind of fell into?
this, it's yeah. This is something I never in a million years thought was ever going to happen. So for those that don't know, and I know we talked about this off camera here. This all started because of my young son Riley. I got into Farming Simulator in 2019, or when during FS19, excuse me, during the pandemic of 2020 when it was free on PlayStation. I'd always seen the games out there, like, ooh, Farming Simulator, I should really get that one. I just never ended up getting it. And then, of course, it was free for PlayStation, and I'm like, how? Now is my time to finally try that. And of course, it's just a rabbit hole, and you have all this extra time now. And here I am starting all this farming stuff, and I'm finding myself like, man, well, then I seen the cows. I'm like, how do I do cows? There's cows all over the state of Wisconsin. I'm like, I want to do that stuff. So then you jump on YouTube, and next thing you know, I got Mr. Sealy P and his cow videos here. This is how you do cows. and that starts that whole rabbit hole. Well, then I get watching a lot of these videos, and Riley's next thing you know, during the pandemic, he's jumping on my lap watching these videos too, and he's like, "Ooh, this is cool. I like this. I like." Mr. P was always Mr. Sealy P, and I'm trying to think. He had a nickname for DJ Goham too, and he was just watching his crazy videos. He would laugh watching him crashing and that. So we always had a good little time because again, you have all this extra time during the pandemic. And then I was kind of watching, seeing how Farming Simulator 22 was getting ready to come out, and I'm like, man, I should. Okay, it's still gonna work in the PlayStation 4, so this will be okay. And then I kind of got to the point. I'm like, I really want to make some of my own stuff here. It can't be that hard. And next thing you know, I'm like, oh my gosh, I finally get a laptop, and I realize that there is way more stuff than I ever imagined. I mean, fast forward a little more. Go ahead.
I was gonna say one of those famous last words.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, oh, this won't be that hard. And then you get into it and like, holy, there's so much stuff here. I just want to change colors. I just want this to go from red. I want it to be blue, for crying out loud. Like, this can't be that hard to change. Why is this so hard? Especially because I don't have a whole lot of computer background, I should say. So, but we kind of start fast forwarding here, and I kind of get messing around. Like I said before, like watching a lot of David's videos, just kind of like self-teaching myself on this. And I'm like, and I really want to make some of this stuff crazy. And I was doing some stuff for my laptop, and Riley comes around the corner, and he's like, I need this on the PlayStation. And I had to let him down and be like, yeah, buddy, we kind of can't do that. That's a really involved process, and there's no way I'm going to make that. And then he's like, you don't realize I'm not asking, I'm telling you, we need this. I want this on the PlayStation. And so it probably started, I want to say, when did I think I started the first version of the Colossus? Was probably May of 2022. And I finally started messing with it, and he'd be right there in my lap, like, all right, here, do this, do that. Getting all his input on it, and then I finally submitted it. I want to say around August or so. I'm like, I don't know if this is gonna work, buddy. We're gonna try it. And I of course got the rejection notification review from ModHub initially saying, hey, you have to change XYZ, and otherwise you should be okay. And at that point, I was just like, this is actually gonna work. Holy crap. And then it finally ended up getting to the point where the first version of it came out, and it was super cool. And just that kind of like a little bit of, it was like almost like an adrenaline jump of like, holy crap, we actually did this. And he got to actually play with it on the PlayStation, and it was just, it snowballed from there because it was all his idea. He's like, I want to drive super fast. DJ goes super fast. I want to do this, and I want to do it on the PlayStation, and here we are. It's just it's super cool to see how well it's been received. I remember telling him when I first submitted, like, hey buddy, just so you know, like, not everybody likes the unrealistic stuff. That we might get some really mean people out there that probably don't like this, but I tried to keep it to where there'd at least be some amount of realism with it. And if you wanted to like go absolutely wild insane, you could, because that's what we really wanted to do anyways. And that was probably the best part that's been perceived by everybody. Is like, hey, no, we like that we can keep this normal if we want, but we can go absolutely bananas if we want to. So it's all because of like I mentioned a couple of people we were talking before that, yeah, I tell everybody, hey, yeah, the class is all because of a kindergartner. He wanted to have fun and go crazy. So
Now, see what I find, not only just absolutely wild about the whole story is not only, like you said, it was spurred on by a kindergartner, but that a kindergartner is playing and enjoying Farming Simulator.
yeah, absolutely.
Like that's part that honestly that might even be the wilder part of the story. Is not just that it was made, in regards to the request of a young child, but that the young child is playing and enjoying it. Like that one almost kind of makes my mind melt a little bit. But
Yep.
that's awesome. So can I ask, what kind of spurred him on and got him into the farm sim?
I think I was just playing it a lot, and then he'd be like, "Well, can I drive? Can I drive?" And granted, at the time, like initially, he just wanted to like just drive all around the map, and I was like, so I made him his own little save game and kind of made a giant little corral for him so he couldn't like fly off the map kind of thing, but he'd just go out and about and drive around and go crazy. So
What one of those I want to do what Daddy's doing.
Yep, exactly. That's exactly what it was. So he was like, "Yep, I'm gonna give this a shot." I just give him the controller, and he's actually really. I hate to break it, he's actually really good at a lot of the racing games now, especially too. But yeah, he just wanted to drive all the stuff around and go absolutely insane, and then he next thing you know, he's like, "Nope, we need to make this. I need this go faster." And everything is, "Oh, nope, faster. Nope, nope, go faster." So
Well, I tell you
Puka
what,
boy, you know.
everybody who's listening out there right now, give a big shout out to Riley because without him, this stuff wouldn't have happened. Well, more than likely wouldn't have happened. You might have come
Yeah,
along the way and been like, yeah, let me spur this on, but you know, let's go, Riley. Big shout out to Riley. So
yeah, absolutely.
so let me ask you this: in regards to your modding, what do you think that you're not very good at that, but others would disagree?
I know it's been one heck of a learning curve is trying to do a lot of the blender work. Just because, like I said before, like I had zero like major computer skills when I first kind of started this. So being able to put this into the program and try and separate parts of the model and put it back into the Giants editor and that whole rigmarole. I'm definitely not the best at it. I'm the whole Fent Vario pack was I think why I had so much fun with that one is because that was like my first real one of actual um true Blender 3D modeling. Because I handmade all of the forestry guards on it, and that was the first time I kind of got to actually really get to have some lot of fun with it. But I know it's definitely not my probably my best per se, but it was just one that I did for me that I wanted to just see if I could do it, and then it finally ended up turning out all right. So that'd probably be the one if I had to say definitely the part there.
So, do you like to travel? You mentioned that you like to be outdoors and get away and touch grass and all that. Does that include traveling or?
Yeah, so it's funny. I've actually hit 49 of the 50 states.
Wow.
My dad was a truck driver, and when I was younger, I rode with him. Then when he we drove all over the country with him. So when I was a kid, so summertime, yeah, didn't pay a daycare. I'd just be driving with dad in the truck. So again, this is many years ago, of course. So they're a little more strict on that stuff nowadays. But so I got to travel a whole lot of the country, and then my wife and I went to Hawaii for our honeymoon and because she said, "Nope, I don't want a lavish wedding. I want a small wedding, but I want a really, really, really nice honeymoon." And that's when I got Hawaii checked off. The only one we got left is Alaska, and hopefully one of these days we'll get up there soon. So,
Well, it sounds like you're gonna have to hit it in the summertime because you mentioned you're not liking the cold. It's a whole
yep,
nother beast to Wisconsin.
yeah, they have their own little animal up there that oh yeah, we always complained about the cold and stuff up here, but then of course somebody from Alaska comes in and it's just like, oh, thanks.
Well, I tell you what, I personally would trade my heat down here in Florida for your cold any day of the week.
Yeah, I hard pass on the Florida heat. I mean, kudos to you, but nope. It's as far as the heat versus cold. My old man always says you can only take so many clothes off. You can always put more clothes on. So yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, no, I'm right. I say that quote all the time. So much so that my wife like knows exactly when I'm gonna start rolling into it. Like if there's ever like a conversation about weather or something like that, and it's like, oh man, I'd much rather be up north, and say, oh no, no, I'd much rather. And then boom, I go into that same exact quote, like verbatim, and I'll tack on a
Yep.
little something at the end. It's like, I can only I can only take so much off before people start to complain.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let me ask you this: scenes that you've been pretty much everywhere in the United States, with the exception of one, um, if money was no object, where
Yep.
would be like your dream destination vacation?
Oh god, it was Hawaii was awesome. We went to Oahu, what drove around there, and then I absolutely fell. Which Oahu, if you ever been there, like driving on Honolulu and that, it's very densely populated. Wasn't a huge fan of that, but as soon as we got to the island of Maui, oh my gosh, it was awesome. And it's so I know they had their wildfire, that bad fire a couple years ago, and it was disappointing for us because we're looking at everything in Lahaina there that got burnt up. We're like, "Oh, yeah, we walked along that front stretch. We went through here. Well, that used to be our fish taco or shrimp taco spot there." And, Um, Hawaii was, if anybody, again, I know it's definitely expensive, but oh my gosh, it's beautiful state, beautiful scenery. It's the temperature is awesome. I mean, we went, I think in was it February-ish or so, but yeah, it was definitely awesome.
Oh, that's awesome. So you mentioned that you've got the wife, you got the kids, and
Yep.
that you have a full-time job. How do you create that balance between the work life, the home life, and the farm sim modding life?
Oh, I still don't have that one down quite properly, I should say. So, basically, a lot of time is it's mostly in the evenings. I will once the little minions decide it's bedtime for them, I'll try and sneak downstairs. If the wife wants to have some of her reading time, she'll sometimes come downstairs and she'll read her book while I'm kind of on the computer type thing, messing around, or she'll watch one of her TV shows, and um, I'll otherwise that's pretty much the main time I try and get most of my modding time in. So. 'Cause it's I try and be present for the family, and I'm also trying to get a lot of the stuff out here. Like I said, I know I'm working on the last little update for the vent pack, but there's so much stuff I want to do, but it's just that time aspect is definitely hard, and especially when it's weather like summertime right now, it's most of our focus is trying to get outside, and there's all sorts of events going on. You know, we've got some weddings coming up, we got some birthday parties coming up, and it's just that takes up so much time, which is why I really kind of just decided to send it into the last Colossus update because there's a couple things I wanted to get done to it and added to it. I just again I didn't have time to, so I know this winter I'll hopefully be able to get some more things done and get some more fun stuff out to everybody. But yeah, it's definitely a tricky balance.
So, what would you say that inspires or motivates you just in life in general?
Life in general, it's I think that let's just start with like the modding stuff. I know what kind of keeps me going back to the modding is seeing people's reactions. Like I'm even seeing the comments in some videos like, "Oh man, this thing is so awesome." Like when you see so many of those comments where it's like, "Hey, people really are enjoying this." That's what really kind of keeps me going onto that. And you get a little bit of that it's just like a self-satisfaction. And even in life I was kind of doing that same thing that and I grew up kind of a rough little childhood, but um grew into a lot of things that I'm doing now that I've had people come to me and say, "Man, I'd never in a million years think whatever would have thought that you'd be doing what you're doing now. Good for you." So I mean, just kind of hearing some of that stuff. I think that's probably I mainly do it for my own kind of self satisfaction, but every now and then you'll hear some of those people like, "Hey, good job, nice, good, appreciate you doing that kind of thing," or stuff like that. Just kind of that's probably the main reason it kind of keeps motivating me, I guess. So.
And what would you say is one of your biggest fears that keeps you up at night?
Upsetting my wife. No.
Oh
Man,
yeah.
like, oh man, did I not do the laundry? Did I do this? Oh man.
Oh,
I
like I said, I'm married, so I
yeah,
get it. I get it.
yep. No, there's not a whole lot of I try not to live much within the fear side of things because you can only control what you can control. So there's not a whole lot I lose sleep over. I mean, I've had some people be very upset at me over the years, and it's just like I know you feel that way, but okay, it is what it is. You have your reasoning for feeling that way, but I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. So it's just one of those things. It is what it is, and I just take it in stride.
You know what? It sounds like the best way to look at it.
Yep.
Do you own any pets?
Smile and wave, smile
Oh,
and wave, boys. Smile and wave.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Do you own any pets?
Oh, we've got a couple dogs, a couple cats, a whole pile of chickens that my wife had to have. So, yeah, I just got done redoing their whole chicken coop here. So, oh, and we just got a guinea pig too. So
Oh, so
that was back in, yeah,
sounds like you got a
yeah.
little farm going on there.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. The guinea pig was not my idea either, and neither was the other cat. Neither was the 14 chickens that just showed up here that we just hatched out the spring too. But I'm gonna have to add on to my chicken coop because we keep getting more and more. But good thing I like eggs.
Oh, and there's nothing better than having fresh eggs. I mean, it's
Oh,
night and
totally.
day difference.
Yep. Absolutely. And then My wife is the chicken avocado, as I call her. She's the aficionado. I always joke, inside joke with her is avocado versus aficionado, but she absolutely loves her chickens, and I just let her do her thing, and I'm just like, ah, it's fine. Yeah, I'll take care of them. It's fine. The chickens make you happy, so that's all that matters to me. So
Well, and I always attest on my channel. It's one of those where when you're married, when you're in a relationship, girlfriend, whatever, you
you know,
always you always have to come up with those brownie points.
yeah,
As a husband, as a boyfriend, whatever it is, you have to have more brownie points stored up in your favor than there are negative points against you. And as long as you can have
absolutely.
be in the positive, then you're going to have a mostly happy relationship, a mostly happy, marriage, etc. It's so it
Right?
sounds like to me you are stacking up those brownie points very well.
Absolutely. Any chance I can. And Tony, definitely not a chicken hauler. Not happening.
So who would be your favorite creators outside of the sim community? Do you watch a lot of YouTube or anything like that?
Oh gosh, I that's funny because I mean I'm always if I'm trying to fix something around the house, the first thing I do is I watch a YouTube video on it, and it's like our dryer went out a few months ago, and what I do, I ordered the parts, and oh yeah, this is easy to fix. And my wife calls me crazy, but I'm like, hey, it's saving us money though, so I'm a tinkerer. Just let me do my tinkering, and fine with it. So, as far as actual outside of Farm Sim, I really don't watch a whole lot of like strict um content creators type thing. I don't have much for social media. I don't have any Facebook or anything like that at all. I don't do the social media stuff on that for just personal preference. I'm just whole lot of negativity there. We could go down that rabbit hole for hours, but no, I don't really have. There's nothing for social media. I don't really have any major content creators. I basically, my phone is. It's funny. I joke with the wife. I'm like, here, have my phone anytime because it's just a whole bunch of farming simulator stuff and a bunch of conversations with a bunch of other nerds like myself. So.
Gotcha. And what about inside the realm of Farming Simulator? Who are some of your favorite creators?
Oh my gosh. There's no way I could pick like a certain favorite one. There's tons of great ones, and the best part is with this whole community is there's some guys that are great at their own little niche. And I mean, we'll just take DJ Gohan for example. He does wild and crazy, and everybody loves it because he has this awesome personality. And it's just people draw into that. I mean, I could say the same thing about countless others. So, to say there's like a favorite one, there's no way. There's everybody in that I've all these content creators that are out there. They're all fantastic. So.
So, what's one thing that people are generally surprised to find out about you?
Hmm. And I'm actually an only child.
Oh, I'm right there with you.
Yep. So personality wise, they're like, well, I never would have guessed that kind of thing. But yeah, speaking of dogs, my dog. Sorry.
And if you could meet any three people in the world, whether past or present, who would they be and why?
Oof. Hit me with the good ones tonight. Well played, sir. No, Abraham Lincoln has always been one of those that I think he's just a fascinating person from way back in the day. Um, is when I was younger, my grandfather actually took me out to do a lot of like the Civil War battlefields and stuff. We went out to Gettysburg and stuff like that. So a lot of those were always kind of fascinating to me. Um, um, Actually, I can't mind my drawing a blank on that one. I'm trying to think of a few other ones. I think I'm kind of drawing some blanks on some of the other ones. But definitely Abraham Lincoln be one.
So, to buy you some time, the reason I asked this
Yep.
question is that it kind of gives a nice little window into the world in which you find kind of importance or relevance in your day-to-day life. People that you hold in
Mhm.
high regard kind of thing. So, there'll be people out there
Yep.
it's like, oh man, I'd love to meet my, great grandfather. He fought in World War I or what World War II, whatever
Yep.
the case may be. Just kind of get to know who
Mhm.
they are, hear some of the stories. Or there's other people be like, oh man, I'd love to meet, insert professional, athlete here, whatever the case. And it kind of
Yep.
gives us a nice little window into, your mind as to who it is that you deem valuable.
Yep. I remember the one now finally, because I was like absolute blank on that one. So Albert Einstein, just because he was super smart, like how do you teach me your ways kind of thing. And the last one would absolutely be Jason Momoa because he's one hell of a partier. Just seems like an awesome dude.
Excellent, excellent. And can you tell us what your first paying job was?
First paying job? Oh gosh, I was working up at a orchard, an apple orchard, and I was probably like 14, 15.
And what would you do there?
Picking apples, taking care of. They had a bunch of grapevines and stuff, so I'd be taking all the nettle out of the grapevines, which was awful. Weeding all the strawberry patches and stuff. Basically, it was a whole lot of farm work, but with no tractors and stuff.
Gotcha, gotcha. So one thing that I always kind of assert is that there's always some sort of connection with, I'd say, the vast majority of people when it comes to their kind of personal background to their current love or fascination or enjoyment within the farm sim community. Would you say that that's
Mhm.
kind of holds true for you as well? Do you think that, you mentioned that you were out on, a larger chunk of property and you're out in the
Yep.
country, you're getting away from the things, would you say that that's
Mhm.
kind of your connection to Farming Simulator?
Oh, totally. And they said my neighbor had a big old dairy farm, so I was always kind of helping him out a little bit when I could. So I got good driving the tractors around the yard a little bit and helping him milking in the parlor, and that's really what kind of started it. Like I said, that's why I seen the farm sim when it popped up on Game Pass a long time. I was like, oh, hey, look at that. There it finally is. Oh,
One of those that was meant to be.
yep, absolutely.
So let me ask you this. If you had never discovered Farming Simulator, what would be that one game that could have taken its place?
I again, I love racing games, and I love as weird as I love like railroad games. For some reason, trains was always kind of like a fascination of mine when I was a kid. So there's Railroaders, a really good one that I've been playing a lot, in my own little time to break away from Farm Sim. I played that one quite a bit, and it's kind of like a one that's in development still. That it's kind of like an early access type thing, but I've been playing that one a lot. Um, Car Mechanic Simulator, I really like that one a lot too. That franchise, I played a good chunk with those two. So those are probably the few ones that I would say would probably take up my time. But there's no way I would do any like the modding stuff for any of that because again, like we mentioned before, there's no way, never in a million years would I ever have thought that I would be actual modding for an actual video game type thing. So
So you mentioned Car Mechanic Simulator. Is that something that you like to do in real life? You mentioned you're a tinkerer or earlier. Do you like
yep,
to work on your own
yeah,
vehicles and stuff?
absolutely. I'm actually ASC certified in a few things, brake, steering, and suspension. So yeah, that's one of those things that kind of get into. I seen the game coming out. I'm like, I want to see how close this is. I'm like, not far off, not bad.
Wow, so ASC certified. So that means that you've actually gone through like the schooling and all that stuff to be able to do that kind of stuff. Would you say
Yep.
that you kind of have an affinity for vehicles or just
Oh yeah. Yep. I was turning wrenches. My dad was a big time car guy. When I was really young, he kind of got me really started into it, and cars have always been a big passion of mine.
what would be that one car if again, money was no object, what would be that one car that you'd get your hands on?
Ooh, 1971 Dodge Challenger.
Oh, okay, okay. I'm picking up what you're putting
Yep, with
down.
a 446 back, E5 blue. Mm, that'd be the one.
Very nice. Very nice. Yes, good choice. What about it kind of speaks to you?
I've just so my dad was always a Dodge guy. My grandpa was always a Chevy guy. And sorry, Tony Miff, but none of them were Ford guys. So, my grandpa actually still has a 1957 Chevy 150. So,
Okay, okay.
driven that around a few times. It was good stuff. But yeah, it's just the design line of it. I've always loved the Challengers. I actually had a Challenger, one of the newer style ones. for a few years. But then I found out a little bit earlier, like, oh, by the way, my wife told me she was pregnant and car seats don't fit good in the back seat of a Challenger. So down the road it went.
Gotcha. Yeah. No, I think that happens to a lot of guys, especially when they're younger. Is we have our dream
Yep.
cars, and or the ones that we're like really invested in, and then all of a sudden life hits you, and it's like, oh well, that's a thing of the past.
Yeah. That's exactly right. Like, oh, I love you, kid, but I miss my car sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So
Mm.
so the 71 Challenger would be your car. What well, okay, let me back up just a bit. So
Mhm.
you established that you kind of fell in love with it because of your father, him being into the cars and just kind of was instilled in you in an early age. Is there
Yep.
any kind of like programming or anything like that that you used to watch that like kind of reinforced the love for cars? Like, is there any television shows or anything like that?
I know we always used to have like Motor Trend on. Trying to think some of the other ones. There was like Trucks was one of the programs way back then. Just he'd have like DirecTV on just playing in the background. We'd be working on something on the kitchen table, and that would be in the background, essentially making noise. But again, it's dealing with cars and stuff and mechanics and repairing stuff right there on the TV, and we'd be watching. I mean, every Sunday, we'd be watching NASCAR races and that too, or even just listening to it. So. If it was racing, we were doing a lot of it, so or at least paying attention to a lot of it.
And you mentioned that you watched NASCAR. Who's your driver that you would root for?
Oh, right now I'd probably say Casey Kane. I liked Earnhardt way back in the day. Or not Casey. Casey Kane was there for a while. Chase Elliott's another good one that we like. The wife really likes. So, trying to think a few because we went to used to go over to the Michigan race quite a few years ago now. We go over there a couple times, get some pit passes, get to see a bunch of the drivers there. So it was all pretty cool. You see the Jeff Gordon and a few more hot takes on a few of those. I'm sure people have their opinions on them, but
I gotcha. So when you would actually go to the races and get the pit passes, was there like any like kind of like special things that you'd be able to do as opposed to like anything else besides like actually being around like the drivers and stuff like that?
yeah. So we when you get heck about really close to a lot of the drivers, like during their qualifying runs, you'd be pretty much right there on pretty much pit row. So they'd be like walking back from their cars out to their back to their travel trailers and stuff. They'd be right there, so you can grab some autographs and stuff. One of my cousins was a big time Tony Stewart fan, and we were watching the drivers meeting, and I watched Tony Stewart was walking out of the meeting, and he was walking directly towards her, and like, hey, Tony Stewart's walking right towards you, and sure enough, Tony Stewart walked right past her, and she just full on froze, looked at him, and all she could get out was hi. And he walked past a few steps, he stopped, turned around, gave her a funny look, and said hi. And kept on going about his way, but it was just so funny. She was just so starstruck that she was always a big time Tony Stewart fan. He absolutely starstruck her. It was so funny, but that was when it was definitely that whole made the pit pass absolutely worth it for all of us. So we were all just we'd still joke about that to this day about how she froze when she finally seen Tony Stewart. So
It's amazing how we sometimes act when we get that one person in front of us who is like almost put on the pedestal in our minds. And it's amazing
yeah,
how, like,
yep,
instead of taking the opportunity, like, oh man, I'm a huge fan, or whatever the case may be, it's like,
yep. Uh, hi. Yep.
oh goodness. So, if you could go to any one racetrack across the nation, which one would it be?
I haven't hit Bristol yet. I'd really like to hit Bristol. Between that and Daytona, I know there was wife wants to kind of go to Daytona, I think, one of these times, but I've always been fascinated by Bristol just because of the short track. Something about it, super cool. But those are one of the two tracks definitely be either by Bristol or Daytona.
Excellent, excellent. And tell us, what's one of your favorite memories just of all time?
Oh gosh. Um, think one of the best ones was when I was walking with my grandpa. We were actually went to visit the Gettysburg battlefield, and we actually walked Pickett's Charge together. And we started on the Confederate side, and we were walking towards the Union point. And when we started at the Confederate sign, it was a beautiful, bright, sunshiny day. And then by the time we got to the wall and to where pretty much the Union lines were at that point, these clouds had already rolled in, and it was pretty much storming pretty much by the time we got to where the final tree was. And a thunderstorm had just rolled in, but it was just this quick little storm had rolled through. It was eerie yet super cool at the same time. And it's just something I've never forgotten because it was something I got to share with my grandpa, and it was super cool.
Oh, that's awesome. All right. Well, that's all the questions I have for this segment. So now let's go ahead and set our sights onto the chat and see what kind of questions they have for us. So, first things first, I want to give a huge shout out to Dust Bunny. Dust Bunny, thank you so much for gathering up these questions and sending them my way. Greatly, greatly appreciate it. So, the first one we have here is from Tony Miff. Tony, thank you so much for your question. It says, why does gold why does gold fly farther on your mods?
Uh, so the reason why he says that is because I made a basketball hoop for Tony. Now, mind you, this is no ordinary size basketball hoop. This is a basketball hoop that is big enough to fit a harvester. Like you can shoot a harvester inside this basketball hoop. And it was just one random night. I was in my Discord. I was just live screening my screen and just jumping all the fence and making these baskets with these tractors, and was missing. So I just made a whole fleet of gold ones, and I made like 5 in a row all of a sudden, just because I just went to the gold, and it's just like ever since then, it's like nope. If you make it gold, it will go into the hoop for whatever reason.
Oh my goodness, that's hysterical.
Oh.
I can imagine just well, I'll put it to you this way. There was one time where I had gone into a Driver 53 live stream, and I think, was either testing your mods or he was doing something. And I come in at the one point where he's just running through the map at like 70, 80, 90 miles an hour in one of your harvesters, and he hits this ramp and he just goes flying across the screen. And it's like, okay, I came in at either the exact right time or the exact wrong time, and I'm not quite sure which it is. Oh my
Right?
goodness. And I think you were in the chat too, and you're just egging them on and stuff like that. I was just
Yep.
hysterically laughing the whole time.
I definitely do have some really good testers, Tony. Yep, and I mentioned that before.
Let's see. Tony, again, thank you so much for your question. We got one from Nacho Cast. Nacho says, Chris, your mods saved us so much time, which is extremely valuable to content creators. Thank you for that. When can we expect a mod to make videos for make videos for us?
I wish I could be that good. I may be kind of good, okay, good, sort of good, indifferent, but yeah, I'm definitely not that good.
I don't know. I mean, the Colossus is pretty amazing. That I think you're just a few steps away from it. But again, Nacho,
Yeah,
thank you so
I
much.
speaking before ya.
Thank you so much for your question there, Nacho. I greatly appreciate it. It says, we got one from Streamcatcher. Thank you for your question. It says, what do you consider to be the best mod you've created? And are there mods out there that you look at and think, man, I wish I would have thought of that?
That's a great question. And my favorites, well, I know everybody's generally probably is the Colossus just because it was the first one and made everything out there. But honestly, the Fent pack is just one that I actually really did for myself, just because I've always had this weird obsession with the Fent 1050s for whatever reason. And I wanted to make my own, and then Tony's also in here. He's like, "Why don't you just make this for all platforms?" So then I just made a whole pack and made my own custom modeling and stuff with it. So that one it's probably one of them that I really enjoyed, just because it was one of those that extra for me, I guess, that I wanted to make for everybody. Um, but I know, like, yeah, the Kinsey planter had its great purpose for everybody for planting everything. The Colossus obviously is the whole giant animal that it is, but that's definitely the one that is probably one of my personal favorites. Trying to think as far as the one I wish I had thought of. 'cause there's always a lot of really good mods out there that you see different. I really have gotten to enjoy doing the tractor work. But some of these maps, honestly, when I see people doing maps, that's the one thing that if I had more time, I would love, love, love to do a map. Um, but I just the time aspect of it, and it's just not my wheelhouse. But we'll see on the map. That's one that like you said, when you think of wish I would have thought of that, it's just I have a place for a map. It's just a matter of being able to do it. So that's if I had to guess, that'd be the one that I would say is the map makers out there. Like Oxygen David is that dude's a wizard.
Oh,
Especially with
absolutely.
maps.
Yeah, no, Oxygen David, it's incredible what he's able to accomplish. It's nuts. But again,
Yeah.
Dreamcatcher, thank you so much for your question. Greatly appreciate it. We got one from Dust Bunny herself. She asked, "Where do you see yourself in 5 to 10 years in regards to your content?"
Oh man, I think a lot of that just depends on how it goes. We'll see. I know I have a few of the videos that I've thrown out there. It's fun. Actually, once I get going into it, I get some of the camaraderie out there, the hazing and stuff that some of the other streamers out there kind of get. They'll have the poking fun back and forth, and I've definitely enjoyed doing a lot more of the live streams. So maybe in a few more years, we'll think about doing some more of the live streaming and stuff. So
Awesome, awesome. Again, thank you so much for your question there. We got one from Ken Adlam. Ken, thank you so much for your question. It says, "Have you collaborated on any maps that the FS community has played on?"
no, I haven't really done much with maps. I again, I want to. I've watched a couple people make their own maps. Tony, I think, yeah, Tony's in here. He made his map. I was watching him. I didn't really do a whole lot, but I shouldn't say I was trying to help him work some. I think there was like a snow mask or something I was trying to help him with, and some Blender stuff. And I'm like, as not my wheelhouse. So, no, I haven't done anything with maps. It's again, that's a want.
Awesome, awesome. So, yeah, so Tony did send out another question. And again, thank you, Ken, for yours. Tony said, did Chris mention his awesome testers? They really make him look good. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those that I could absolutely agree. The testers definitely have their role and they do amazing things. I will personally push back and say the testers are great, but Chris here, he's the wizard.
Tony is I always try and tell him like, okay, I need you to try and break this thing, and then he'll find a couple of things that I've missed. So
See, I love that mentality. It's just, hey, do whatever you can to make this thing go boom. I
yep,
love that.
exactly. You break it, let me know.
Let's see. Tony asks, Chris, any more live streams?
Maybe. Wintertime, we'll see. I might try and be able to throw some more here come this winter. But yeah, summertime, my time is shot right now. Even though like I said before, it's a blast. I'm actually really liking doing a lot of live stream stuff. It was fun. Um, Definitely got a lot to work on, but not as good as the live streaming as I am with the modding stuff.
I gotcha. I gotcha. All right. Well, that is the last question I have from the chat. If you have any more questions, please just make sure that you include a double question mark on there. It just makes it so much easier to find throughout the live stream. And again, thank you to Dust Bunny. I also, before we move on, want to give a big shout out. I saw earlier that we did get a membership from Streamcatcher. So Streamcatcher, thank you so much for becoming a member of the channel. Greatly, greatly appreciate it. And now we're going to move into our next segment called Meat and Potatoes, emphasis on potatoes. This is where we're going to get to know you for more of your content and the stuff that you do within the farm sim community. So we established that Chris S. and Riley S. is in regards to you and your son and how that kind of, snowballed into you being able to kind of take the ideas or the kind of wants that your son had in order to make it into the game itself. Absolutely awesome. I love that story. And it's one of those that even I myself, I had no clue. I originally thought that you were part of like a group, before we actually got to talking. And it was one of those that when you told me that story, I absolutely like loved it and wanted to be able to relay it in case anybody else didn't know that, because you mentioned it earlier, having a kindergartner being responsible for one of the most, in my opinion, one of the most popular packs out there is just an incredible story.
I
So
appreciate that.
do you consider, or do you currently only produce farm sim mods, or is there any other game that you have ever like created content for?
No, it's only been Farm Sims, the only thing I've been, I guess, brave enough for, crazy enough to even try for. So, I think I did a few like personal map edits of like some train sim world stuff like years ago, but nothing ever, not even remotely close to what for Farm Sim stuff is.
Gotcha. And we established you started playing Farming Simulator back in FS 19 days because it was free for the PS4. And it
Yep.
was the PlayStation Plus, I think is what you said it was. Um,
Yep.
so when did you actually start making content? It was in the midst of FS 22, correct?
Yes, I think at that point I was just trying to get maybe our stuff out there a little easier, and I'm like, oh, I can make a mod. I can try and make a video too. It can't be that hard. And my mind was blown as I see how much more involved it is. So, um, yeah, I think it was probably about FS22 in that general end of it when I seen some of it. But yeah, just looking back at a few of them, I was like, ooh, that's a little on the rough side. But we all start somewhere, apparently.
So, what's one thing that you never expected when you started creating your mods? And some examples I give are the sense of community that is out there within the farm sim world, unexpected backlash, things like that. What's something that you never expected when you started pushing your mods out there?
I guess I just never in a million years thought it would turn out the way it has today. I mentioned to Riley when we first submitted this thing that I don't know how well this is going to go, bud, because not everybody doesn't like the realistic stuff or unrealistic stuff. So, the positive feedback that we did get on all of the like mainly the Colossus stuff, it absolutely blew my mind that it's got like over a million downloads. It just I just was flabbergasted how well it was perceived, how many people really liked it, and then how many people wanted it in FS25. So I'm like, well, we got to keep going on it. So I never ever ever would have imagined it turning out the way it has so far.
So, currently you have four mods that are released for all platforms on the Mod Hub, correct? It's the Lizard
Mhm.
Colossus pack, the Colossus Adjustable Weights, the Fent Forestry or Fent Vario Forestry Edition, and the Kinsey Multifruit Planter, correct?
Yep, that's for 25. Yep.
So, of those, is there one that kind of stands out as your personal favorite, or is it like they all just kind of take that top rank?
All again that I like all of them. There's a reason why I threw them out there. I know we kind of joked. I can't remember if this was on screen or not, but when we were talking about the weight pack, that was one that I put together back in January. It just kind of sat on my desktop for the longest time until I finally like, you know what, man, somebody might like this thing, so I'll just submit it. And yeah, people have really liked that one too. So again, the Fent pack is one that that was one more so for myself that I just really wanted to do, see if I could do it kind of thing to do the more of the 3D modeling and stuff with the Substance Painter and getting all the different textures and stuff all done with that one. So that one again has a little special place for me just because again I've always loved the Fent 1050s, but um, yeah, it was they're all they have their own little special place type thing.
Gotcha. And you mentioned the adjustable weight and how it sat for a long time. I was telling
Mhm.
you off screen there that a lot of people here will know that I do a Sunday show and I co-host that with somebody else. And on that Sunday show, we discuss the mods, maps, and news throughout Farming Simulator as kind of a weekly wrap up. And that was the very first time when that adjustable weight came out, where I looked at it and was like, you know what? This isn't just a weight. Like this is actually something that is
Yep.
worth highlighting and worth spending more than just a brief 2 seconds of, oh hey, it's a weight. Like I've never been able to do that for a weight before or since. So it was kind of one of
Yeah.
those like, nice. Leave it to Chris and Riley to be able to come up with something like this. And for many of us out there, we may remember that as part of one of the TLX packs that came out in FS22, there was an adjustable weight in that pack as well. But where I pointed out was a huge delineation between your weight as compared to the TLX one is that the TLX, you could adjust the weight and you would see the tractor or whatever it was connected to adjust, and the weight it would actually kind of sink into the ground or whatever the case may be. But there was no difference in the model when you did
Mhm.
that. It was just the model is the model is the model. Yours, on the other hand, you can
Yep.
actually see the weight stacking up on it, giving you a clear delineation of how much weight is being added to that. And that was one of the coolest things, and what made me think this is what sets this apart, and kind of the overarching value of all the mods out there is that there's just, you take the time to think of all these little things, even if it's just, hey, let me slap 5 million liter capacity on this, you know, but also retaining that original kind of flavor for that mod. So I think that's what makes
Totally.
your mod set apart from a lot of others. Now, do you ever do modding with having no intention to release it out to the public?
First, I just want to appreciate the comments, man. As far as doing my own stuff, there's a couple personal edits that I've done to a few things. I think I remember even Archie said this last night. I remember him saying that um, you'll see a mod come out and like, okay, I just want to tweak a couple smaller things on that because their mod is awesome, but I just want to change a couple things on it. But it never. I'm trying to think. Well, there was one that I definitely did. So if you were you around for FS19?
I was.
Okay, so do you remember Hemerson Dentino when he had his it was like the Thunder that tracked big old tractor he had?
That one I don't recall.
Okay. There was like the GNU or Lizard GNU or something like that. It was a couple tractors that he put. But I remember I made my own personal conversion of that from 19 to 22. And again, that one wasn't going to go anywhere. That was my first one. I just like, this is, I just want to do this because I loved that. For whatever reason, I just loved that tractor in FS19. And I'm like, I want to put it in 22. And yeah, changed over to FS22. And never left my computer. It was just one of those things I did just for myself because I wanted to, number one, I wanted to see if I could do it. But yeah, no, I that's probably the only one that I've ever done for just myself that was zero intentions. Because again, mainly because it wasn't my mod. I just wanted to have some fun with it. So and he did a great job making it 19 still, and I wouldn't dare kind of try and step on his toes kind of thing. So
I gotcha. And what's the one mod that you would love to make but feel that you can't due to whether you have like knowledge restrictions or the lack of time? What's that one mod that you'd love to tackle, just you can't?
I mean, there's some custom ones. Like I see some different models out there that I just want so badly to take and then put into Farm Sim. Like there's some vehicles out there that I've seen. I'm like, man, if I just had access to that model, I could definitely bring it in to the game. But I just, again, just the time aspect. There's a couple pickups that I've seen out there that on some different. I mean, you could pay for models and stuff like that for your own use and whatnot. But I've seen a few of those. And I'm like, man, that would be super cool to bring into Farm Sim, but being able to get a model, purchase it the right way, and make sure it's your model, not somebody else's type thing, and getting it into the game is definitely where the hardest part that I'm trying to balance out. So,
So you kind of hit on it earlier, in which you mentioned that there was during your shout outs, you mentioned there were so many people that were both willing to help you, willing to help others, and the
Mhm.
whole nine yards. Do you offer assistance in anybody who's looking to kind of do modding on their own?
Oh, absolutely. I've had I know a couple guys in my Discord too are really good at it too. Like people come in like, hey, how do I make my own pack? And easiest way is like, hey, well, we have a voice channel on there that I can try and show you, hey, this is how I've done this is how I've done that. Um, I'm not going to do a whole lot of the work for you, but if you come in, you have that desire, I'd love to try and help you out as best I can. I'll be the first one to admit that I'm not 82 Studios. I'm not GHG modding. I'm not. Um, I mean, some of your other like custom modding, like they do all their custom stuff. I'm like, kudos to those guys. They are way better than me. um, but they're yeah. I mean, I try and help as best as I can, but um, I'll try and direct them. I'll share my knowledge, what I've learned over the years. But yeah,
Well, it's like that whole, you know, teach a man to fish versus give a man a fish. Argsy said something along those lines
yeah,
yesterday.
totally.
So it sounds like that's kind of the
Yep.
mentality that you take up is like, hey, I'm not going to do the modding for you, but here's the tools that you'll need to be able to achieve the end results.
Hmm.
And that's something that I've
Yeah,
heard very
absolutely.
common within the farm simulator space, especially doing this show. There's been numerous other modders I've talked to, throughout the show, and pretty much has the same mentality, which is part of the reason why I say that this is one of the greatest communities, like bar none, I've ever existed in. Individuals like yourself and many, many others who are not just wanting to kind of seclude themselves off and do their own thing, but they're willing to kind of fold people in and be
Hmm.
like, okay, this is the knowledge that you need in order to run with it. So have at it, kind of thing.
Yeah,
And it just makes the community better as a
absolutely.
whole.
Yeah,
So, I
totally
mean,
agree. And I know I've helped. I know I did some decal work for AW modding here, and again, again I feel bad because I've been so swamped that I haven't been able to help as much as I have in the past there. But if I'm able to, I genuinely try and help. I think I helped Biggins with a couple of his decals on his. He had a mower that I had to fix a couple of his decals for him, but it was one that same thing. He's like, "Hey, this is what I've got. I'm trying hard to do this thing." And then I just same thing. I jump in Discord. I'll show him here. This is what you got to do, and off it went. So it was again. That's why I really have enjoyed this side of the community. That's always super. Again, if you ask the right people and ask the right questions, like most of the time, somebody like, hey, I don't. If I don't know, I know who to get a hold of. So and it's generally if you're coming in there with this, hey, I'm not telling you to do this for me, but can you at least kind of show me how to do it and help me out, kind of thing. So many of the people out there are always definitely willing to help. So just like I seen Tony sees a thing that Joe has some models for me, so I'm definitely gonna get a hold of Joe later. So
nice. So, of the four mods that you've pushed out so far here for 25, which one was the hardest for you to create?
definitely gonna be the Fent Pact again, just because it was some of the more of the custom modeling on the foresty surrounds and stuff in there was definitely tricky. The Colossus pack it's so big, but I kinda had a rough idea what I wanted to do with everything, plus it kinda had the bones are already set from 22, so it was just a matter of learning the new way the game's set up and converting that to the new game. So yeah, the classes it wasn't necessarily hard as compared to, the Fent Pack, but even though it is, like, 10 times the size because there was so many different models, I think last I checked, I think there's, like, 60 pieces of equipment in the classes pack, so
Wow.
yeah.
And would you say the Colossus is probably the one that probably took you the longest, considering it's the biggest?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So I spent quite a few hours with the Fent, but I mean, as far as trying to put everything together, just because there's again, 60 XMLs, which is, I mean, if you cut it, usually there's like a realistic and an unrealistic in the Colossus. So even if you cut 60 and a half, that's 30 models right there potentially that I've had to at least kind of just go through and even if it's just a matter of setting colors, it's so much work in there. So even something simple as like the vineyard cultivator, even that alone, you take 4 hours or so just alone just for getting some of the other stuff set up on. So
Oh, wow. That's uh, one of the things I've always equated out to when it comes to modding is, and that's modding, map making, whatever the case, you have to have a real love for the game to even begin to dip your toes in the water, let alone to be like sustained in it.
yep.
It's one of those where it takes a very special and driven person to be a modder because there's so much that you have to know, so much you have to learn. It's a steep learning curve. So, good on you. You mentioned earlier that you're self-taught, that you basically learn all this stuff by watching others do it and learning videos and watching David from 82 Studios. I mean, great on you for being able to put yourself into that situation and doing all this work so we, the greater community, don't have to.
Yeah,
So,
it's yeah, wild.
if you had one bit of advice to give to somebody who was new to modding, what would that advice be?
Um, Definitely start with your own just personal edits of base game stuff. That's pretty much how I started, and then start watching your videos or um and like I said, don't be afraid to make mistakes because I don't know how many times I'll load in and out of the game just trying to fix something on this. Again, like I said, a tractor, for example. I'm like, man, why aren't these tires lining up the way I want them to? And here it's because you had the wrong number written down. So um, don't be disgruntled by all the crazy amount of frustration because you're definitely going to have plenty of times of, oh, why isn't this working? And then, but you also have that same satisfaction when it does turn out the right way, that you get that, yes, this finally worked out the way you wanted it to. So,
So, before you were doing your modding, you obviously got to just play the game, enjoy it, and kind of get spun up into the world of Farming Simulator. What would you consider to be
yeah.
your, well, and you've also made it through several iterations of it. You started in 19, you worked your way through 22, and
Mhm.
here we are in 25. Thinking back to 19, 22, and 25, what would have been your favorite map for each iteration that you played?
Oh man. So for 19, it was an Omatana map that she had at the very end. I'm trying to think what the name of it was. It was Port something, I want to say. Um she ported it was I thought it came out in like August or September of the lifespan of FS 19 in the last year. I don't know why. I just love the map. It had kind of like you're right around the port where you had like there's plenty of farmlands if you wanted to, but then you like had no almost no man's land type thing above it. And I just love that map that she did. And Omatana is an awesome modder too. So um that was definitely probably one of my favorite from 19. And FS 22 is when I started kind of I got into the playing a little bit, but I noticed I was losing it towards the end there. I was spending more time messing with XMLs and modding than I was actually playing the game. I think for 22, what was my favorite one on 22? I don't know. There's a few of the Michigan ones were kind of nice, the big and wide open ones. That was also at PC for 22, so I was able to do some more of the 4X maps. Um, there was a 4X one that came out relatively early that I've spent a lot of hours on too. Um, Gosh, I'm trying to think of that one, but um, definitely like that 4X being able to do that on the PC. Um, but that would be that one. But for 25, I'm gonna be completely honest with you. For FS 25, I really haven't had a chance to do anything for a whole lot of playing the game, just because I've spent the little bit of time I do have. I'm making things, so um, I know there's a couple really cool maps that came out recently. As I know Tony's map came out. Trucker Matsy had his map come out that they got to be able to do. So you're able to drive around those a little bit, but as far as actually playing the game, I don't think I have more than like 5 hours on a non-based game map for FS25, which is unfortunate because the graphics on 25, like the ground deformation is awesome. So, but yeah, definitely, I think I want to say it was Port Limbo. I want to say for FS19, but I'll try and think
Uh,
of the name of the one for FS22. But
so Rusty Money Gaming put into the chat Port Limbo.
sweet, it was Port Limbo. Perfect, good. Thanks, Rusty.
Good shout out there, Rusty. Thank you so very much. So again, we'll go into another question just shortly after this in regards to how you answered your previous one. But thinking on the opposite end of the spectrum, you kind of sound like you're losing time being able to play the game and spending more time being able to
Mm.
create for the game. But thinking back to
Yep.
19, was there a map that you kind of weren't as in love with? It was your least favorite. Not to say it was a bad map, but just it wasn't your personal choice.
I can't really think of one from 19 to where I was like, "Oh, this is awful." Because I mean, maps. I mean, I just have such a respect for maps that I know how much work goes into them that I don't really feel like there's much of a bad one per se. So
Well, which is why I always
I
try
can't
to
think.
preface that question with it doesn't necessarily
Mhm.
mean it's bad, just not one that
Yeah.
you per se liked.
Yep. And I think it's interesting. Is obviously I'm from the United States. It's just like I'm not always playing a U.S. map. Like there's been times I try and do like a European map just because I want to mix it up a little bit, something different for a change. So I'm not strictly just because I'm from the U.S. doesn't mean I'm only going to do a U.S. map. So I think a lot of them are um, really cool. To where again, the modding community out there is absolutely fantastic. To where they can people we have from all over the world can try and make a map of roughly from they're at. I think it's all fantastic. So I know when I was on the hard part with console though is trying to find a map that is smaller in size though, because I mean there's some that are super detailed, but which is that hard balance of trying to find a detailed map versus trying to save some space on your storage that is very extremely limited on consoles. So
Oh,
yeah.
for sure. It's funny that you mentioned that because I think that's part of the reason why I think most people kind of get spurred on from console going into the PC Mac
Mhm.
world is because of, you know what, I'm just sick and tired of having to worry about space.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you were kind of touching on something earlier where uh, because of the content that you're creating, you're kind of losing time to enjoy the game and are spending more and more time
Mhm.
creating for the game. Um, Now, there's obviously, some like a reason why we do this because I'm the same exact way is that as I am getting more and more into the content creation side of things, I lose time just being able to enjoy the game. Um,
Yeah.
would you say that that's kind of like the trade-off of being a creator is okay, well, I'm going to sacrifice the fun of the game versus like being able to put something else out there that others can enjoy.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's totally agree to that because it's unfortunate because I mean 25, even though it had its bugs and stuff here in the beginning, and it's finally starting to get itself worked out. Um, I mean the graphics on it's awesome. Like I mentioned before, like the ground deformation, it definitely feels it's getting more and more realistic. Um so it's unfortunate that you kind of end up noticing that you have less time to play, but um it's just one of those trade-offs, I guess. So,
Yeah, absolutely. So, thinking of your times playing the game, not necessarily creating, is there
mhm.
one map that you played on that if you could just snap your fingers right here, right now, it would just appear in FS25? What would that one map be?
Oh, I know Poor Boy Modding had a lot of really cool maps. Just because he had so many different ones out there too. I don't want to take the easy way and say like a No Man's Land, but some Alien Gym ones too. Spectacle Island, I had a lot of fun with that one too. Just because again, AJ does some crazy stuff. He adds so many different things into it. To try and pick one, there's just no way. I mean, it's just like trying to find your favorite song kind of thing, where it's just like there's just no way I could find my own my favorite song type thing. So there's so many different iterations out there. That's just
And
yeah.
I can completely respect that. It's one of those where picking your
Mhm.
favorite and that be the one. Like, yeah, I get you. Now you mentioned Spectacle Island. Love that map. That was a fantastic map by
Yeah.
Alien Jim. Oh man, that would be my personal that would be my one. And
Yep.
really, if I was being honest and being very greedy, I would just say, hey, you know what? Can we just get Alien Jim back?
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Hobo's Hollow 4X is the one I was trying to think for FS22. That for whatever reason, I don't know why I liked it so much, but I put a countless amount of hours in. So I was just scrolling through the website, like this is gonna drive me nuts. I gotta figure out what this map was. So Hobo's Hollow is one I can remember.
It's one of those that I'm the same way as I just get that itch in the back of my head when I can't think of the thing of that I know what it is.
Yeah.
It's on the tip of my tongue. It's like I've got to
Yep.
I got to scratch this itch. It's like it's just right
This is
back
gonna
there, and
drive me nuts.
yep, and it's not going to go away until I figure it out. I'm
Yep.
I hear you. I 100% understand. So, do you keep up with a lot of the news that's coming up for the future here in Farm Sim 25?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm paying attention to it as best I can. That's one of the nice things with it being all over YouTube. I mean, I get during the day, I'll try and watch a lot of the shows and stuff. Or even like late at night, if I can't get down to the computer, I'll lay in bed and just kind of scroll through the phone a little bit on some of the updates that are coming up in the Farm Sim ones. So definitely.
So, has there been a map that's been announced that you're kind of like looking forward to for FS25?
Um, this is gonna sound maybe on the weird side, but I was just glad to see Silver Run Forest 425 when that one came back. I was really looking forward to that. Though I know it's a Giants map, but um, I put a lot of hours on that one in FS22 as well. So seeing that one come back, I was happy to see that one. I know there's some other ones. I think it was Iowa Plains I've seen. There's a lot of people excited for, but um, as far as maps go, again, it's I also hope maybe Mars the mission might come back. I think that was by Farmer Bob and Superfly. They did a great job on the Mars mission map too. I'd like to see that one come back. I don't know if I've heard some rumblings that it might, but I haven't got full confirmation on that one though. So
I thought I heard something that that map was coming back, and I think they're working on it actively.
yep,
I'm pretty sure that you're
yep.
right about that one.
Yeah, I
So,
hope so. I've talked to Superfly a couple times. He's a super nice guy. I haven't talked to Farmer Bob, but I know he's super knowledgeable in his stuff too. So I'll probably end up trying to reach out to him if I ever decide to be absolutely insane and make a map. So
I tell you what, I would love to see you take a stab at some maps. I mean, just seeing the creativity that you have with some of your mods, I think a map by you would be pretty intense.
yep,
So,
it'd be wild.
before FS25 released, we were getting that slow drip of information from Giants. Okay, these are the features to look out for FS25. So, like ground deformation,
Mhm.
God rays, weather events, all those things. What was that one specific feature that you were the most excited for?
I would definitely say the ground deformation, just because the way the textures look when you're driving across the field, like after you cultivate or something, like that part was and still is just absolutely fascinating to me. The weather, I honestly don't even play with the tornado and stuff on. It's not very realistic to me. I get the concept, and I know there's some people that will appreciate it. So, I mean, I'm all for adding as much as you can into a game, but I was just that one wasn't exactly my cup of tea. But um, definitely the ground deformation for me is what I really, really enjoyed. Was glad to see.
Gotcha, gotcha. And what was a feature that was being listed out, like we just stated before, that you were excited about, but after you got your hands on FS25 that you kind of soured on?
Yeah, that was definitely the weather events. Like I
Whether
seen that was popping through, and I'm like, is this cool? But then seeing the application of it, it's like, oh, cool. Oh, okay, it's not that me.
was there a feature that was announced that you were kind of like worried about that you're like, "Ooh, man, how is this going to interact with some of my mods?"
The wetness on the vehicles, I was intrigued by, and then when I seen that the lighting and stuff was going to change, from the modding side of things, I mean, even the textures, to be honest, too, like that stuff I was kind of intrigued by. But so far it's turned out okay. So the way it looks in the game is awesome. So it all ended up working out the right way, anyways. It was supposed to, but there was definitely a little bit of anxiety on when I seen there was a lot that was changing for the modding side of things.
So, in regards to the kind of water texturing that's on the vehicles and equipment and stuff like that, is that something that's just kind of built in base in the code and you just need to kind of copy and paste? Like I personally I know nothing about the coding side of the world of Farm Sim, so this is just like a general like a me question.
Yep. It's basically all set up in the UV mapping of things, and that's a lot of that is all done in Blender. Oh, it's definitely involved because it's wherever it gets placed in the UV scale is where certain parts are wet, certain parts are dry, and where it's placed on the XY axis is what determines if it's going to be wet or not. And you can't have stuff inside the cab being wet, so it's a Uh, that was a learning curve for myself with someone who is not exactly a proficient in Blender, still learning my ways about it. But again, luckily there's some awesome people in this community that were super kind enough to help me out. So definitely saved my rear end on a few of those things. So
So, what's one thing that's not in Farming Simulator that you really wish was there?
I honestly wish that there was more with the weather and the like how it reacts with crops. So for say example, let's just say like for a drought, if like there you go through a summer, because that's more realistic for like around here. Like a couple years ago, we had a crazy drought, or even North Dakota, super dry year, and there was nothing for much for crops. I'd like to see something more like that in the game versus like the tornadoes and stuff. Really wasn't my cup of tea per se. But to have it to where like the moisture affecting the actual yield of the crop, I think would be super cool and more definitely add to that realistic aspect of true farming, I guess.
Okay. And I do think I you know what, audience, keep me honest on this, but I'm think there is a mod out there, just I think it's for PC Mac, that does do something
Yep,
very similar to that. Um,
there is. Yep.
okay,
Yep, yeah,
okay.
there's the realistic weather mod that is out there. I would actually love to see something more like that in game. It's funny. So yeah, I play on PC, but I don't do a whole lot with the script mods just because I'm petrified of the mod conflicts because you had so many of them get added in there, and that's when I think that's probably the time I get the most messages is just because oh, well, this mod isn't working all of a sudden. Your mod isn't working. Well, no, it's not my mod. It's the fact that you have 15,000 script mods, and eventually it's going to make something break. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah, I guess maybe that's my own little personal fear of adding a bunch of different script mods out there. But I know there's definitely a lot of fantastic script mods out there. So,
So if the fear of a script mod being out there that wouldn't necessarily have to worry about breaking anything or anything like that, is there
mhm.
something out there that you would love to see developed or would develop yourself as a script mod?
Oh gosh, Lua and I do not get along. That is trying to teach me Chinese, and that ain't. I barely speak English, so I'm not even going to begin to try and think of a script mod that I would try and come up with.
I gotcha. And what style of map do you prefer to play on? Do you prefer like a wide open American style map, or do you prefer like a tight, compact, almost UK style map?
I like having some hills around. I don't like anything crazy flat. And that's funny because we have all this wild and crazy equipment, but I don't use anything wild and crazy when I'm actually playing the game. I'm using a lot of smaller equipment as crazy as it is. So the smaller to medium fields are what I'm usually using. So like a lot of the bigger hills that are kind of like making it very almost more realistic, which is probably why I like Silver Run. I think for some reason again, I have no idea why, but I just really like that map because I mean I've gone through and made a whole bunch of different farmlands all around that entire map, and just for whatever reason is that's the one that I was always kind of drawn to for some reason. So.
So, with your love of Silver Run Forest, I presume that you do have a affinity towards the forestry aspect of the game.
Yeah, I was honestly surprised how much I ended up enjoying the logging aspect, which is I'm so glad. I forgot to see if the Easy Dev that came out for FS25 has the auto stump delete button though, because I'm lazy. um, the stumps are what drive me nuts. So I'll harvest trees all day long, but it's those gosh darn stumps that frustrate me all the time. But I remember I think it was a DJ GoHam video that in FS22 that he was showing through here. Yeah, I logged all these trees, and oh wait, watch this. Easy Dev has this button that automatically deletes all the stumps. My mind is still blown to that fact that I mean I had Easy Dev for I don't know how long and did not know that was a thing, and here I am struggle busting with all these gosh darn stumps that I'm deleting after the fact. So,
Oh man,
yeah, love the logging, hate stump grinding, but I haven't checked to see if that's on 25 or not.
isn't that the worst when you've been dealing with something for so long and then all of a sudden somebody shows you something that you never knew happened and it's like, Where have you been all my life?"
I have been struggle busting for how many hours, and there's the easy button right there. Oh, awesome. I
Oh
am so
man.
happy.
Let me just get ready to just start pushing that easy button like on repeat. Like
Yep, exactly.
so
Uh,
have you any ideas or anything in your mind right now? It's like you because you mentioned how you do care for the kind of forestry side of the game. Are there any
mm,
mods or anything like that that you'd be like, "Ooh, let me put this like let me build this for specifically the tree harvesting aspect of things."
I've wanted to do my own wood chipper, um, something wild and crazy because why not? It's on one of my lists to do, but like an easy logging type thing, just because I know like console doesn't exactly have a like an auto loading log trailer. Something like that would be if I could try and find a way to make that work. That's something that I would absolutely love to do, but yeah, it's gonna be tricky.
I mean, I remember that in I think it was FS19. I was disappointed
Yep.
because it wasn't in FS22, but there was a
Mhm.
quote unquote auto load log trailer for FS20
Yep.
or FS19. It was one of those that had this little like stump grinder kind of built into it, but it would basically
Yes.
fill it up the trailer with wood chips and just give you like a visual representation of the logs being in the trailer
Yep.
kind of thing. Is that kind of like
Yep.
something that you would want to approach or?
Yeah, that's it's funny you say that because that's the exact one I was trying to see if I could try and make work is something similar to that. Because yeah, it unfortunately be the only way to maybe try and get it on the console is something like that. I know it was one of those. I thought the same thing. Like, oh, this is exactly what I thought it was going to be, but I mean, it's kind of logging ish, I guess, but it's not a true logging trailer. So it's just a matter of trying to battle that. Like, is this gonna look good and still people are gonna appreciate this, or is this gonna be one of those like, oh, no, this looks way too corny. I don't really want to deal with that kind of things. Definitely trying to balance that one out yet. So
Oh, for sure. And it's one of those like I mentioned before, a lot of the appeal I think that a lot of people have to your mods and like the Colossus Harvest Pack is the epitome of this is you have that ability to kind of find that balance of the real versus the ridiculous. And it's one of those with that specific mod in regards to the forestry, it might be a little bit difficult to come up with that kind of nice blend of real versus ridiculous kind of thing. So I wish you good luck in
yep.
that venture because, again, me being in the console world, I would have loved to have seen a mod like that, especially in FS22, which there was nothing, in regards to that. But for
Mhm.
my fellow console players, I'm sure that a lot of people would love to see that kind of come to the forefront again.
Yeah, totally agree. Totally agree.
So
There's
what's
a lot of auto loading stuff that people are really trying to get a hold of, and I'm I'm been slowly messing with a trailer that I would like to try and yeah have it like whether it be pallet auto loading, but I know they changed pallets from 22 to 25 as well, so um there's still a lot more to come to with it. But because again, people are well, I have to push the L3 button every single time to load a single pallet on console, and I know not everybody likes doing that, but it's just ugh. Trying to it's frustrating for us because we're trying to make it work on console, but again, coming from the console side of things, I understand the frustrations, but a lot of times, unfortunately, sometimes you're just stuck within those game limitations. Really, at the end of the day.
yeah, it's funny how we are I don't want to say pigeonholed, but like people don't understand like there are limitations as to what can and can't be
Yep.
done, especially when you're taking into
Yeah.
account the consoles and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's one of those where I completely understand what you're saying in regards to that. So, what
Yep.
style of farming do you prefer to do? Do you prefer to do forestry or do you prefer arable grass care? What's your kind of cup of tea?
Definitely arable. I'll mix in the forestry for something to do during the winter months. Ever since like the seasons became a thing, permanent thing for the game. Um, I'm trying to find something to do. I just don't want to skip forward a whole bunch of months, so I try and find a little bit of forestry to do during the winter months. But pretty much, it's always just plant your crops, harvest your crops, sell your crops. and sometimes make them into different productions and stuff. But that's pretty much my game style if I'd describe it.
And I may know the answer to this, but what was your most
Mhm.
memorable moment for your mod creation career so far?
Oh, it was that when the original first version of the Colossus came out for FS22, it was holy crap, this is actually coming out, and we'll see. I hope this comes that gets perceived well. And yeah, here we are today. Like I said, I was actually out in North Dakota when it first released. And I remember calling Riley and be like, "Hey, dude, this thing actually happened." Oh, I remember as soon as we got home, we threw it on the PlayStation right away, and he was just beaming from ear to ear. It was awesome.
So, what were you most excited about? Were you most excited about how well it was received or how Riley acted when he was able to play with it for the first time?
Oh, it was absolutely Riley's reaction was definitely it. That's what was the best part. I mean, granted, yeah, I was glad it was well received, but even if it wouldn't have been, just the fact that it was his creation, basically, that he's the one like, nope, I want this, and that I was able to kind of make it happen for him. That was it was awesome. I mean, there's no other words to describe it. It was just awesome.
Yeah, I could only imagine like if I had one of my kiddos, that they were requesting something of me and I was able to actually bring it forth for them. And,
Yep.
especially with the kind of path that it has to go through, because it's not an easy path to be able to,
Right.
get something onto the mod hub, even just if it's just for PC Mac players, but getting onto the mod hub for everybody out there, like that's the most difficult path to take, is getting it out there for console players. So to be able to go through
Totally.
all that stuff, all those hoops, and then all of a sudden to be able to see the kiddo's reaction, and all of a sudden you get like basically it's like a new day of Christmas at that point, I would imagine.
Right. Yeah, absolutely, and then we got the console award, that red console award from Giants, and, still never forget when the mail person shows up, I'm like, "What in the heck is this thing showing up that I have to sign off from?" Then like, "Oh, it's from Germany." I'm like, "I didn't order anything from Germany. What in the heck is this?" And then sure enough, I you open it up and I see on the side it says Farming Sim, I'm like, "Wait a minute, this is actually that thing." So, of course, I just popped the top because at that point I had a good inkling of what it was, and, Riley just happened to be right there, and I'm like, "Dude, check this out," and he opens it up, and it's this big old thing, and I still have the picture somewhere. I wanna say I even sent it to DJ just because he was so stoked. The smile on his, face was just from ear to ear. It was super cool, so
Oh man, that's amazing. That's like I said, I could just imagine one of my kiddos like sitting there. It's like, "Dad, can you do this?" And you're actually able to achieve it,
yep.
and just that reaction. Oh, that would be worth every second of frustration, every moment of pain that going through to figure out how this stuff is done. I could only imagine. Like that's
Yeah,
that's
and
that's got to
there's
be like
definitely
one of.
tons of frustration.
I bet. I bet.
Yeah, if there's
Um,
anybody does any modding, I mean, there's so many hours of just like, "Oh my gosh, I want this to do this thing." You're not doing a thing. Yeah, it was once you finally get through all that stuff and it gets out there and you finally have that, like, victory, like, it's finally released, everybody can finally enjoy it. I mean, there's no other way to describe it. It's awesome.
So, like I mentioned, I don't do any of the modding or anything like that. I don't know XML coding or anything like that. But what I do as a day job is I do SQL coding, and it's one of those where
Oh,
I
nice.
can understand and appreciate the type of effort that goes into creating code. I just don't know that version of it. So it's one of those where
Mhm.
I can sit there and write, a report or whatever the case may be, and it's like I get so frustrated because it's not doing the thing I expect it to do. So I can only imagine how difficult it'd be in regards to the modding aspect of things. So yeah, no, it's like I said, that I have a appreciation of it, and again, being able to imagine one of my kids, oh, it'd be next level. That's
Yeah, it
definitely
was definitely cool.
definitely one of those where hopefully Father's Day was extra special for you that year.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. It was super cool.
So who would you consider to be your favorite map maker? Like you go out on the mod hub and you're just kind of checking things out and you say, "Oh, hey, there's Oxygen David, there's Lancy Boy, there's like
Yep.
which one is you would consider your favorite?"
Oh man, I mean, again, Oxy, the stuff he does, considering everything is all custom and made, it's amazing how he does it. So, I mean, to try and compare that to, I mean, I don't think there's any other comparison. I love Poor Boy modding maps, just because he does a lot of that. Something similar to our playstyle, where it's like he gives you a whole lot of extra stuff as well. Like, I know this isn't for necessarily for FS25, but he did a lot of awesome ones in FS22 that gave you kind of that extra, like the mining aspect of things, where it wasn't necessarily just a farming thing. So you could actually make it into maybe like a coal mining thing if you wanted. So I really liked his maps as well in FS22. So TNT modding had a I don't know did you ever get to keep your Eureka Farms game save before they kind of got taken away from FS19 from TNT modding, or?
So I heard about all that. I didn't get swept up in it. So it was one of those where
Yep.
I didn't have it actually installed at the time, but at that time I was doing
Mhm.
map tours and stuff like that. And I
Nice.
eventually got into the updates right around that time. So when it got blown out from the mod hub, I was certainly caught
Yep.
off guard. And then it dawned on me like why it got taken off. So
So I
and
still have the original with the unrealistic equipment for FS19, the Eureka, and I refuse to update it. So so shout out TNT. I still got it, man.
Oh, and what's hilarious is look at us now. Like back in
Yeah.
FS19, there was no unrealistic. It had to be real capacities, and TNT got
Yep.
hammered hard for that one. You know, having to take
Oh
down
yeah.
all their map. Like I think they had like 2 or 3, maybe even 4 maps at that time that got blown out of the mod
Yep.
hub because of unrealistic equipment being kind of behind the scenes kind of thing, like
Yeah.
inside the map itself. And now look at us. I mean, we've got the Colossus pack. I mean, is a perfect example. It's got
Right.
60 some models in it. All of them can be cranked up to 11. Like
Yep.
the
Yeah.
progress we have made.
Exactly. Right. And I'm glad that Giants finally relaxed a little bit because, I mean, my personal opinion, and again, this doesn't mean anything to anybody, but I mean, it's just play the way you want to play the game. If you want to go absolutely wild and crazy, just play the way you want to play. I mean, everybody should be able to have that option if they want to. So, um, again, I'm glad that they kind of let some of the stuff start loosening up. I think David was one of the first ones to kind of get a little bit of the unrealistic stuff in FS22, and then it kind of started snowballing from there. Um, so yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So kind of the same question as the map maker. Who would you consider to be your favorite modder? You can't pick you.
Definitely wouldn't be me. Definitely not me. Um, oh, good question. HR Forest does a lot of really cool stuff. Um, again, and then you have the custom modding guys, how they have if you can make your own 3D model and get it on Mod Hub, like kudos to you. Like I've done some of my own little bit of stuff, but nothing compared to like the custom modding JHG guys. Gosh, did JH no, who made the Gleaner in 9 for 22? Why am I trying to blank?
Oh,
Um,
oh darn it. I know
he
who
went to
it
work
is
for
too.
Giants for a while. He
Hmm.
was awesome too. Well, I just drawing an absolute blank on his name too.
Again, it's going to be one of
All
those
right,
that's going
stand
to
by. I
itch
gotta
at the
look this
back.
one up.
There it is.
I gotta
It's
look it up quick.
it's
Yep.
gonna itch at the
Sid
back of our
modding. There
head.
we go. Sid modding.
Sid, yep.
Sid. Yep. Again, another fantastic modder that I mean, where you can make your own custom stuff like that. Absolutely, major props to you guys. So, to pick just one, there's no way, but there's a really good handful of them. Some of those guys. I mean, even like I said, David has his own custom built those trucks, and the TLX stuff is. I mean, that's fantastic. So, and he just would push the game to its absolute limits. So, and he was always kind enough to you kind of even like just show everybody else, hey, this is how I'm doing it, and do what you got to do, kind of thing. So I hope he comes back for 25. Um, just because again, as a person, he's an awesome person, but yeah, I think that's just one of those is what is kind of things.
All right, so I've got one more question for you for this segment here. So we mentioned
Okay.
how getting you into the whole map making scene. It's going to be a heavy lift, but we'd
Mhm.
love to see you do it. If you had like all the prerequisite knowledge of how to build it, you had the time, the energy, the
Mhm.
effort, all that stuff, where would you build your map off of? If you could pick a place of somewhere in the United States, where would that be?
It would definitely be a Wisconsin style map. So, um,
Gotcha.
there's like it's considered it's be the far western part of the state. It's like kind of southeastern Minnesota, excuse me, yeah, southeastern Minnesota, western Wisconsin, and northeastern Iowa, along that Mississippi River Valley. I mean, UMRV, it'd be kind of something similar to UMRV, but just not on the Mississippi Valley. Just because it's considered the driftless region, and some of the farming they do on the hills is it's crazy. So, I mean, we're talking inclines of like 400 or 500 feet that, I mean, they're still farming on some of the stuff. So if I could do something like that, that's kind of area that I would kind of aim for.
Awesome, awesome. Well, it sounds like that would definitely be a heavy lift, but I think it'd be something that would be awesome to see on the HUD.
We'll see.
Oh, you know what? I will lead the charge. Keep our fingers crossed, and hopefully one day we'll get you there.
Never know. I know I have to get so in FS22 I had the John Deere 9R pack, and I know I want to get, there's been a lot of people asking for that. So I want to get that one out here as well. But after that one's done, maybe we'll think about the map after that.
Awesome, awesome. Like I said, we'll keep our fingers crossed. So, like I said, that is the last question I have for this segment. So now we're going to move back to the chat. But before we do, big shout out I saw earlier to Gold Gaming sent a membership gift for the channel there. So again, Gold, thank you so very much. Greatly appreciate it. Again, a big shout out to Dust Bunny, who has been gathering up a bunch of questions here behind the scenes. And starting out with Benji. Thank you so much for your question there. Benji says, "Hi, Chris. Do you have any pets?" And we established you do. So do you want to give us a recap real quick?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I have a couple dogs, 2 dogs, a couple cats, a bunch of chickens, a pile of chickens. Way too many for me to count because I don't math. And another guinea pig.
Awesome, awesome. Again, Benji, thank you so much for your question. We got one more from Ken Adlam says, how did you come up with the Colossus mod originally?
Yeah, like we kind of discussed earlier, it wasn't necessarily me. It was my young son Riley decided that, hey, I want to have something absolutely wild and crazy on the mod hub, and he kind of kept pushing me to do it, and I kind of kept learning and kept going, and here we are. So as far as like we were trying to think of different names, and we just started picking a whole bunch of them. Like, hey, here's some names. What do you think? And he's the one that chose the names on it. And even as far as the colors, I had to initially he wanted to have like a whole bunch of like a million different colors. I kind of had to reel him in a little bit for the colors initially, but once we had a few of them down, he those I was like, well, here's the thing: you can have color options eventually, but it has to look somewhat normal for them to accept it. And then we just kind of rolled from there. But yeah, basically a lot of I said all this first stuff when it started out, it was all a lot of his ideas. So
And did I catch that right? Did you say that he came up with a name for it?
I threw a whole bunch of stuff out at him. I'm like, here, what do you think of these ones? And I honestly couldn't remember to tell you like the whole list that we had. I just like, what do you think we should name this thing? What do you think we should name it? And he's like, I just gave him a whole bunch of lists, and he's like, oh, let's do this one. Colossus it is. And I go, okay, sounds good to me.
Uh, I tell you what, this is, I think, probably one of my most favorite stories I've heard doing this show is finding out that, like you said, a kindergartner is responsible for one of the most widely recognized mods within Farming Simulator. I love it. I think that is just an amazing, amazing story. All right, so I don't think we have any other questions out there from the chat. So we are going to move into our third and final segment called That's a Silage Wrap. This is where we're going to start closing things out. So, first off, Chris, I want to thank you so very, very much for coming out here tonight and doing this interview. I had an absolute blast with you here tonight.
It's awesome. I glad you got a hold of me and glad we were finally able to set this up. I know my schedule's been absolutely wild, so that hasn't helped anything. So, real quick, I also want to say I see Looney Farm guys in here too. So, hey, Looney, hope you're doing good, man.
Hey, Looney, how you doing? Hope you're having a fantastic night so far. Yeah, it's this was a long time coming. We started talking about doing this show prior to my moving, so this has been something in the works
Yeah,
for probably a couple of months now, I think.
easily. Yeah, easily that. Because yeah, you were getting ready to move, and yeah, I know I, I was in the transitioning positions at my place of employment, and my schedule was going all sorts of crazy there too. So, yeah.
Oh man, I'm really glad we were able to work this out because, like I said, I had so much fun here tonight and getting to hear one of my probably my new favorite story that I'm gonna be able to relay to so many people out there is I'm gonna love it. Absolutely love it. So
I
can you remind
appreciate it.
us where we can find you?
So yeah, I'm on YouTube and Discord are the two places that I have for social media. I don't have any. I'm on Twitch, but I've never done anything with Twitch. That's basically just to poke at Tony. Um, but yeah, most of my information's on YouTube. Join us on Discord. I'm primarily on Discord. That's where I can answer most of the information, any questions, any bug reports, anything like that. I do the occasional live stream on YouTube or the occasional video, but I'm not too much of a content creator per se, so we'll working on it. We'll see. Maybe we'll add some more to that eventually. But yeah, for right now, it's mostly just posts on giving us updates on any of our stuff we're working on.
So you kind of touched on it a little bit throughout the stream here, but do you have any future plans or projects that you want to let us know about?
Yeah. So right now, I'm still working on the Fent update to the Forestry Edition. Doing a whole bunch of different tire changes to that. Getting it all set up for precision farming. Got to get the nodes on those. I think there was one small minor bug on that, I believe I had to change, but that's what I'm working on primarily right now. I did send you a picture if you want. You can certainly show that off. It's totally up to you. But it's all got the 700 as a front loader option on it. I'm going to try and add a front bucket and a front loader for everything for it as well. I think a couple other things I've done. So after the Vario is done, I think that kind of depends what time I get that one done. I may Colossus has to get. I want to add a slurry spreader to it yet and make that also fully precision farming compatible. It's just gonna take a little bit of time on those. And then that also depends when the new map comes out. I know they said that there's onions in the new game, or the new map, I should say, or the DLC. So if that comes out, I'll try and make that compatible with the onions. And I'd also have to update the planter as well to plant onions. And then once all that's, I think, fully set up, then the John Deere 9R pack that we had in FS22 has definitely there's been a lot of requests out there for that one. That was a fun one. So little backstory on that one. I guess if you read the mod description, you can read it as well. But for any Lego fans out there, um, there is a John Deere 9R with a trailer for a Lego set out there. And when I'd finished kind of a lot of stuff with the Colossus pack for FS22, everybody's like, "You got to make a tractor. You got to make a tractor." And I told Riley, I'm like, "Well, hey, what kind of tractor should we do?" And inside, I'm like praying, "Please say like a 1050, Fendt 1050. Let's say Fendt 1050." And like he just sprints downstairs and he just disappears. I'm like, well, that's weird. Whatever. Maybe he just had ADD or something kicked in and he just ran away. Well, then like he comes sprinting back upstairs, like this is what we got to do. And I'm like, oh, okay, it's already been settled there. I'm not even gonna try and change your mind whatsoever. We're doing the Lego pack. So
That's awesome. Again, another great
yep.
story. I love hearing these stories. And you said
So
I can go ahead and show off that picture real quick?
yeah, absolutely. Go right ahead.
All right, let me see if this will come through just real fast. Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
look
no
at
worries.
it. There it is. All right, so I just need to adjust it real quick. And actually, I need to, let's see that. Nope. Why is it? Ah, there it goes. Now we're cooking with gas.
There
There
we
you
go.
go. That's what we're working with here. Looking really
Yep.
good.
So,
Like,
yep, got the new newer tires on that one. I've got the front loader adapters already on it. So yeah, we're gonna there's some cool additions to it. I got some new I know a lot of people are wanting the US style wheel connectors for like the twin wheels on it. Um so I made my own custom hubs for it so that way it looks um from more I should say more for US style specs on it. So um and try and get as many options as I can. I know certain people like their certain things, but I love the Nokian tires. All the LSWs with the Nokians are yeah, that was definitely a me thing.
and Tony Miff just put it in the chat there. Needs more gold.
These are gold. Yeah, there's still plenty of gold. Don't worry, it'll be gold, Tony.
I love it. I absolutely love it. All right. Well, like I said, I want to thank everybody for coming out here tonight, and especially you, Chris. Thank you so very much. Had a blast. Thank you all for participating, sending us
Oh,
your
Bella.
questions. It was fantastic to get to chat with you here tonight. So this is where
Absolutely.
I look at the chat and say, I hope you enjoyed this, and if you did, let me know your favorite content creator. If you want to see somebody out there who is your favorite, let me know who they are. Reach out to me in any of my social medias. All of them are listed right down here. I got the Instagram, Facebook, X, and Discord. Reach out to me. I'll do everything I possibly can to get them onto the show here to be able to share their stories. I don't know if they're going to compare to Chris's here tonight, but I'm sure we'll hear some good ones along the way. But the only requirements I have is they got to be above the age of 18. That's the only requirement. Everything else, they just need to have a connection to Farming Simulator, whether they're a modder, map maker, a content creator, a farmer, whatever it is. I mean, let's face it, if you're a farmer and you're the basis of the game, period. Plain and simple. So you don't even have to have necessarily a direct connection to the game. If you can justify it, I can at least be talked into listening to it. But big or small, doesn't matter. I just greatly appreciate everybody taking the time and coming out here tonight and hanging out with us. And again, I hope everybody enjoyed it. And if you did, please show us by liking, sharing, subscribing, following, commenting, doing all the things. The algorithms enjoy you doing. The shows you engage with this channel and enjoying the content. And that being said, I hope everybody has a fantastic day. Take care. Chris, hang on until after the outro and I'll catch you on the other side.
Sounds good. Thanks again for letting me hang out with you tonight. I really appreciate it. It's been fun.
Oh, it was my pleasure. Take care, everyone.
This is Farm Sim Talk with BDD. Let's roll.
Out here in the country, where the roads run wide, there's a world behind the pixels that we're bringing to the light. From maps to mods, to the rigs we drive, we're talking to the folks who keep this farm life alive. It's Farm Sim Talk with BDD. Come pull up a chair and ride along with me. Stories from the makers, the builders of the scene. Farm Sim Talk, where we live the farming dream. He's got questions rolling like a big John Deere.